There are roads that change the way you see the world. Paths that awaken a sense of wonder you never knew existed. Welcome to South Africa's garden route, a land where oceans meet forests, where cliffs rise from turquoise waters, and where every mile tells a story older than time itself. From hidden lagoons and ancient forests to dramatic cliffs and endless dunes, this journey is not just about the places we visit. It's about the feeling of being alive, of standing on the edge of nature's masterpiece, and realizing that some of the most breathtaking beauty on Earth is waiting for you, if you dare to explore. Join us as we follow the road less traveled, uncover hidden wonders, and experience the garden route like never before. This is South Africa, raw, wild, and unforgettable. There are places that don't just take your breath away. They change the rhythm of your heartbeat. And as you stand at the edge of South Africa's coastline, where the ocean crushes against ancient cliffs and the wind carries stories older than memory, you'll feel it. The beginning of the garden route isn't just a starting point, it's an awakening. There are places in this world that don't just capture your attention, they take hold of your senses and refuse to let go. And as the sun rises over Cape Town, painting the Atlantic in strokes of gold and silver, you feel something rare, something powerful, a beginning, a promise. The garden route doesn't start with a road, it starts with a feeling that tells you this journey will change the way you see the world, maybe even the way you see yourself. Cape Town stands like a masterpiece carved between mountains and ocean, a city where every direction reveals a new wonder. The moment you step onto its streets, you feel the energy vibrant, bold, alive. But before the road trip begins, you must understand the heartbeat of this region. And that heartbeat echoes from the stone walls of Table Mountain. Towering above the city like a silent guardian, it is one of the most recognizable landmarks on the continent. As the cable car climbs toward the top, the world below slowly unfolds. The ocean stretches endlessly. The city curves around the bay, and the mountain's flat summit reveals a landscape shaped by endless winds and time. Up here, the silence is different, thicker, deeper, almost sacred. It's a reminder that South Africa is a place where nature still dominates everything. From Table Mountain, your eyes drift toward Lion's Head, a peak that glows at sunrise with warm, golden light. Hikers move in single-file silhouettes against the sky, climbing toward one of Cape Town's most iconic views. And beyond it, Signal Hill curves like an arm protecting the city. At night, its slopes fill with people watching the sunset ignite the horizon in reds and purples. Cape Town never hides its beauty, it displays it boldly, confidently. But the city is not just scenery. It's culture, it's history. And nowhere is that more visible than in Bo-Kaap, a neighborhood where streets are lined with houses painted in bright pinks, greens, blues, and yellows. This is not random color, it's identity, a celebration of heritage, community, and survival. As you walk through the cobblestone alleys, the smell of spices drifts through the air, calling you toward kitchens that have carried generations of tradition. In Bo-Kaap, a simple stroll becomes a journey into South Africa's soul. As morning turns to midday, the call of the ocean grows stronger. The V&A waterfront hums with sound waves, laughter, music, and the distant cry of seagulls. Boats rock gently in the harbor, markets come alive with handmade crafts, and the outline of Table Mountain reflects perfectly on the water. It's a place where travelers gather, where stories intersect, where the journey truly begins. And yet, despite the beauty and the energy, there's a feeling that Cape Town is preparing you for something even greater, a whisper carried by the wind. It's time to go. The garden route awaits, and with each passing hour, the anticipation builds. You can feel the open road calling. Leaving Cape Town is like stepping out of a dream and into another. The coastline curves dramatically as you drive southward, with powerful waves crashing against dark rock. Mountain cliffs rise sharply from the sea, creating a natural corridor that feels wild and untouched. Every turn reveals something new: rolling hills, distant beaches, and tiny towns that flicker into view like secrets, waiting to be discovered. The garden route doesn't begin with a sign. It begins when the landscape shifts, when the city noise fades, and when the scent of salt and wildflower blends into the air. This is where your journey officially starts, where freedom stretches ahead like an endless ribbon of asphalt, where every mile pulls you deeper into one of the most beautiful coastlines on Earth. As Cape Town shrinks behind you, a final glance in the rearview mirror reveals its skyline, mountains, ocean, and shimmering light. But you don't feel sadness. You feel gratitude, because this city has opened the door to something extraordinary. And now, with the wind against the windows and the ocean to your right, you are ready to follow the road that millions dream of, but only a few truly experience. Ready to uncover the wild beauty of South Africa's garden route. This is where the story begins. This is where adventure becomes memory. Some roads are built for travel. Others are built for wonder. And then there's Chapman's Peak Drive, carved into mountains, suspended above the Atlantic, glowing orange under the African sun. A road you don't drive, you feel. You're about to enter one of the most mesmerizing coastlines on Earth, where the road twists between mountains that slice the sky and beaches that look untouched by time. But before we move forward, ask yourself this: what if the journey you're about to see is not just a road trip, but a transformation? Because along the garden route, every turn reveals a new world, raw, wild, peaceful, and overwhelmingly beautiful. And today, we dive into its heart, beginning with the legendary town of Knysna and its unforgettable lagoon. The moment you arrive in Knysna, the landscape shifts from rugged cliffs to a softer, calmer world. The air feels cooler, carrying a salty sweetness from the Indian Ocean. The lagoon opens like a mirror of turquoise and gold, holding reflections of forested hills and drifting clouds. And at the edge of this enormous lagoon stand two towering giants, the Knysna Heads, massive sandstone cliffs guarding the narrow channel that leads out to the open sea. For centuries, sailors feared this passage, calling it one of the most dangerous harbor entrances in the world. Today, standing on the viewpoint, you feel that history in your chest, the surge of waves, the power of nature, the delicate balance of beauty and risk. Knysna is not just scenery, it's an atmosphere. The town is warm, soulful, artistic. Local markets buzz with energy, hand-carved wooden pieces, the smell of roasted coffee beans, colorful textiles, and the laughter of people who've lived here their whole lives. As you walk the waterfront, boats sway gently in the harbor, and the restaurants fill the air with the aroma of freshly grilled seafood. Knysna is famous for its oysters, rich, creamy, and pulled straight from the lagoon. Whether you're sitting on a pier or in a quiet hillside restaurant overlooking the water, every bite tastes like the ocean itself. But the true magic lies beyond the town, deep inside the Knysna Forest. This ancient, emerald world stretches out like a living cathedral, towering yellow wood trees rising nearly 40 meters into the air, moss carpeting the earth, and beams of golden light piercing the canopy. When you step inside, everything becomes silent, except the soft rustling of leaves and the distant calls of hidden birds. Legend says this forest was once home to giant Knysna elephants, majestic creatures that moved like shadows between the trees. For years, people believed they were extinct, until a lone elephant was photographed wandering these forests, confirming that at least one still roams free. As you drive deeper, the forest envelopes you. Wooden pathways lead into quiet trails where the smell of damp earth follows your every step. This is the kind of place where you slow down, where the world feels suspended, where you understand that nature is not just scenery, but a presence. Whether you choose the Jubilee Creek Trail, the Drupkelders hike, or simply wander without a plan, the Knysna Forest has a way of pulling you inward, making you reflect, breathe, and reconnect. And then, Just when you think Knysna cannot surprise you anymore, the road carries you toward the adventure capital of the region, Plettenberg Bay. The coastline opens up again, wide beaches of silver sand, dramatic cliffs plunging into shimmering water, and waves rolling in with a rhythm that seems almost choreographed. Plet, as the locals call it, is a playground for thrill seekers, surfers, hikers, and wildlife lovers. Dolphins glide past the shoreline, and in the winter months, migrating whales breach in slow, powerful arcs that leave you speechless. If Knysna is calm and soulful, Plettenberg Bay is alive, energetic, and full of motion. Kayaks slice through the waves, paragliders drift across the sky, and boats head toward the Robberg Peninsula, an extraordinary nature reserve that rises from the ocean like a giant stone fortress. Walking the Robberg Trail is like stepping into a world shaped by wind and time-rugged cliffs, swirling seas, and colonies of seals barking from the rocks below. This chapter of the journey reminds you that the garden route is not one thing, it's many worlds existing side by side. Tranquil lagoons, ancient forests, mountain viewpoints, and beaches that stretch into the horizon. It's a place where every traveler finds something different, something meaningful. And as the sun sets across Plettenberg Bay, washing the coastline in shades of fire red and soft gold, you understand why this region captures the hearts of everyone who visits. Tomorrow, the road leads us toward even more unforgettable landscapes, toward wildlife encounters, ocean cliffs, and one of the most dramatic coastlines in South Africa. But for now, breathe it in. This is the garden route, and we're only just beginning. Imagine hearing a sound so deep it vibrates through the air before you even see what made it. On the Whale Coast, nature announces itself long before it arrives. Have you ever stood in a place so wild, so untouched, that it feels like the earth is speaking directly to you? That's where we're heading now, into one of the most breathtaking, adrenaline-charged, and nature-rich sections of the garden route. What comes next is not just sightseeing. It's South Africa, in its purest, most thrilling form. So lean in, because this chapter takes us from the golden beaches of Plettenberg Bay straight into a world carved by oceans, shaped by ancient forces, and alive with creatures that exist nowhere else on Earth. As the road winds out of Plettenberg Bay, the landscape shifts once again. Before long, the rugged outline of the Tsitsikamma Mountains rises ahead, blue silhouettes wrapped in thin layers of mist. This region is where the sea and the forest collide, where cliffs drop straight into swirling waves, and where adventure feels like a natural part of the environment. The name Tsitsikamma comes from the ancient Khoisan language, meaning place of sparkling waters, and when you arrive, you feel immediately why. Rivers flash across rocks like silver threads, and the coastline stretches in long, dramatic curves. Your first stop is the legendary Tsitsikamma National Park, one of the crown jewels of the garden route. Here, the roar of the ocean is constant. A low, thunderous voice echoes through the forests. The moment you step onto the trail leading toward the suspension bridge, you feel the power of nature pulling you closer. The path cuts through lush vegetation, where every leaf seems oversized and impossibly green. The air smells of wood, salt, and mist. And then, through the trees, you see the iconic Storms River Suspension Bridge. Suspended over dark, swirling water, it stretches like a thread between the cliffs. Crossing it is not just a walk, it's a full-body experience. The boards sway gently beneath your feet. The river rushes below, and waves crash against the rocks where the river meets the sea. It's here that the landscape shows you how fierce and how fragile it can be. Some travelers pause in silence, others grip the rails tightly, but everyone feels that same pulse of awe. This entire area feels ancient. The cliffs are rugged, layered with time, and the deep green forests seem to breathe. When you look out toward the horizon, the ocean appears endless blue, powerful, restless. Tsitsikamma is also the starting point of one of the most famous hikes in the world, the Otter Trail. This 5-day journey follows the coastline, crossing rivers, weaving through forests, and revealing hidden beaches. You may only walk the first section today, but even that small taste is unforgettable. Footprints in the sand disappear with each wave, and the wind carries a peaceful hum that makes you want to stay longer than planned. Leaving the coast for a moment, the road takes you inland toward the Bluekrans Bridge, a structure so massive it seems almost impossible. At first, it looks like a simple architectural masterpiece, but then you notice something else. The people leaning over the railing, their hearts racing, their legs shaking, because this is home to one of the world's highest commercial bungee jumps. Standing on the edge, 216 meters above the gorge, the world seems to pause. The wind rushes past your ears, and for a moment, time holds still. The countdown begins 3, 2, 1, and suddenly you're flying, plunging into a free fall with nothing but wind, gravity, and the echo of your own scream. Even if you don't jump, just watching is enough to send shockwaves through your body. But Tsitsikamma isn't only about heights and heart-pounding thrills. It's also a sanctuary for wildlife. Look closely along the coastline, and you might spot the sleek shapes of dolphins dancing through the waves. In certain seasons, whales migrate along this stretch, breaching with slow, powerful arcs that leave you speechless. Deep inside the forest, duikers move quietly between the trees, and bright knotted birds flash like scattered jewels. One of the most peaceful spots in the region is the Big Tree, a 1,000-year-old Auteniqua yellowwood that stands as a living monument. Its trunk rises nearly 40 meters, stretching upward like a pillar connecting earth to sky. Standing before it, everything else seems to shrink: your worries, your thought, your sense of urgency. Here, time feels bigger, slower, more meaningful. As the sun begins to dip, painting the sky in shades of fire and violet, Tsitsikamma becomes even more enchanting. Shadows lengthen along the cliffs, the waves glow with the last light of day, and the forests hum softly as night creatures awaken. It's a reminder that the garden route is never just a destination, it's a living, breathing journey. By now, you've moved through forests, cliffs, oceans, and deep ravines. You've stood at the edge of the world's most powerful coastlines and felt the heartbeat of ancient trees. But the road ahead promises even more. Wildlife reserves, desert landscapes, mountain passes, and towns where cultures and histories intertwine. The moment you enter the garden route, everything changes. The air grows softer, the forests grow denser, and suddenly, it feels like the earth is breathing again. Have you ever seen a place so calm that it feels like the world is holding its breath, yet so alive that every sound, every ripple, every shadow carries a story? That is where the garden route is taking us now. If the first 3 chapters showed South Africa's wild pulse, this next stretch reveals its softer, quieter, more soulful side. This is where nature whispers instead of roars. And yet its beauty is just as overwhelming. As we leave the dramatic cliffs and roaring oceans of Tsitsikamma, the landscape softens. The road begins to wind between rolling hills, wide open grasslands, and clusters of tall trees that sway in the breeze. Before long, we reach one of the most peaceful towns along the garden route, Nature's Valley. Even its name feels like a breath of fresh air. Here, time slows down. Birds circle lazily overhead, the waves roll in gently, and the lagoon stretches out like a mirror reflecting the sky. Nature's Valley is the type of place that feels untouched, as though the world has agreed not to disturb it. The beach stretches for kilometers, completely unspoiled, with sand so smooth it looks like fresh canvas. The warm afternoon sun paints the water in shimmering tones of gold and teal. A short walk inland brings you to the lagoon, still, quiet, perfectly calm. Kayakers glide across it like soft brushstrokes, barely creating a ripple. The surrounding forest leans over the water, creating a green frame that feels like a living painting. But don't let the tranquility fool you. The valley is alive. If you listen closely, you can hear the distant call of fish eagles echoing across the water. Look carefully, and you might spot tiny footprints from bushbuck or vervet monkeys along the sandy edges. The air is fresh here, clean, cool, with hints of salt and forest earth. It's the kind of place that invites you to pause, to breathe, to remember that life isn't always meant to be rushed. Leaving the valley, the road climbs sharply into the mountains, revealing one of the most scenic drives of the entire region. As the elevation rises, the view widens. Forests unfold in layers of green, deep ravines cut through the hillsides, and distant peaks form jagged shapes against the horizon. Every curve in the road feels like a discovery, every lookout point like a reward. Eventually, the mountain pass leads you toward a town filled with charm, history, and artistic soul. Knysna is unlike any other place on the garden route. Built along the tranquil Knysna Lagoon, the town seems to float between forest and water. Boats drift quietly across the lagoon. Fishermen prepare their nets, and waterfront cafes buzz softly with life. But the true centerpiece of Knysna is its legendary pair of sandstone cliffs known as the Knysna Heads. These two towering sentinels guard the narrow entrance from the ocean into the lagoon, and they are magnificent. Standing at the viewpoint, the panorama is breathtaking. To the left, the eastern head rises sharply, covered in greenery and rugged rock formations. To the right, the western head sits wild and untouched, accessible mostly by boat. Between them, the ocean crashes into the narrow channel with swirling force, sending white foam spraying against the rocks. Yet, just beyond that turbulent entrance, the lagoon lies quiet, serene, almost impossibly calm. This duality, wildness, and peace is what makes Knysna feel alive. It's a place where nature shows both its power and its gentleness. A short drive brings you to Featherbed Nature Reserve, a private sanctuary filled with finbows, vegetation, rare bird species, and lookout points that seem to hang above the world. Taking the ferry across the lagoon, watching the heads rise on either side, feels like entering a hidden realm carved by time. Back in town, the Knysna waterfront offers a completely different energy, vibrant, warm, and filled with life. Here you can try the region's famous oysters, freshly harvested from the lagoon. The shells crack open easily, revealing soft, salty flavor shaped by the unique mix of freshwater and seawater. This is one of Knysna's proudest traditions, and tasting them feels like tasting the ocean itself. As the afternoon unfolds, the light shifts into that magical golden hour. The lagoon glows with shades of honey and amber, turning every ripple into liquid gold. Small boats drift gently, leaving long trails behind them. The forests surrounding the lagoon become darker, deeper, their edges glowing where the sunlight touches them. You can feel the temperature drop slightly, carried by a soft breeze that ripples through the treetops. At sunset, Knysna becomes a dream. The sky blazes in colors of peach, fire, and violet. The outlines of the heads soften against the glowing sky. Lights from houses and boats sparkle on the water like scattered stars. The entire lagoon transforms into a giant mirror, reflecting the fading light of day. In this moment, it feels impossible not to fall in love with the place. Night brings its own kind of calm. The lagoon becomes still. The forests whisper with nocturnal life, and the town settles into a cozy quiet. Somewhere in the distance, waves crash faintly against the heads, a reminder of nature's eternal rhythm. Today's journey has taken you through contrasts: peace and power, still water and crashing waves, hidden valleys and towering cliffs. And as the garden route continues, even more extraordinary landscapes are waiting: mountains, wildlife reserves, vast plains, and towns filled with culture and history. Knysna feels like a secret whispered between the ocean and the forest, a place where the land folds into soft lagoons and dramatic cliffs in ways almost too perfect to be real. Have you ever witnessed a landscape so perfect, so impossibly balanced between ocean, forest, and mountain that it feels almost unreal, like nature spent just a little extra time crafting it? That's the feeling you get as you arrive in Plettenberg Bay. The garden route has been beautiful from the beginning, but here it becomes breathtaking. This is where the coastline opens up like a masterpiece. This is where the land seems to glow beneath the sunlight. And this is where the journey begins to feel less like travel and more like a dream, unfolding one frame at a time. Plettenberg Bay, known to locals simply as Plet, is one of South Africa's treasured gems. Its beaches stretch endlessly, long ribbons of gold bordered by turquoise waves that curl and break with elegant rhythm. The air here has a softness to it, warm but breezy, carrying hints of salt, pine, and distant wildflowers. Standing at the shore, watching the waves roll in, you feel something rare, complete calm blended with awe. But Plet is not just beautiful, it's alive. And the best way to feel its heartbeat is by exploring one of its greatest natural treasures, Robberg Nature Reserve. Robberg is a narrow peninsula carved over millions of years, rising sharply from the sea like a rugged stone spine. The moment your feet hit the trail, world transforms. On one side, the roaring Atlantic crashes into steep cliffs, sending bursts of white spray into the air. On the other side, calm azure waters shimmer under the sunlight. The path itself winds over rocky terrain, sandy slopes, and wooden walkways, giving you uninterrupted views of the ocean stretching endlessly toward the horizon. And then, suddenly, you hear it, the deep, distant barking echoing through the wind. At first you may not know what it is, but as you approach the lower sections of the reserve, you begin to see them. Hundreds of Cape fur seals sprawled across the rocks below. Some lie lazily in the sun, warming their dark, sleek bodies. Others leap into the waves, diving and twisting with surprising grace. The air fills with their calls, creating a powerful, primal soundtrack to the landscape. From above, the view is extraordinary. The clear water allows you to watch the seals swimming beneath the surface, dark shapes gliding like shadows through the blue. Occasionally, a wave breaks over the rocks, sending the seals scattering, only to return moments later in a playful scramble. It feels like witnessing a secret world, raw and untouched. But Robberg has more stories to tell. As you continue along the trail, you pass caves carved by ancient tides, their entrances dark and mysterious. Archaeologists have found traces of early humans here, tools, shells, charcoal evidence that people once stood in this exact spot thousands of years ago, looking out at the same ocean. The realization sends chills through you. Time moves differently here. Nature remembers everything. Climbing higher, the peninsula narrows dramatically until you reach one of its most iconic features, a long sandbar stretching between two sides of the ocean. Waves collide from opposite directions, meeting in a foamy dance that looks almost unreal. The wind rushes across the sand, erasing footprints just moments after they appear. Standing there feels like standing at the edge of the world, a place where nature's power is on full display. When you finally reach the summit, the view is overwhelming. The entire coastline unfolds beneath you. The beaches of Plet curving gently in the distance, the forests rolling inland toward the mountains, and the endless ocean. The sound of the wind surrounds you. Seabirds glide across the cliffs, and the sun reflects off the water in glittering silver shards. It's a moment you want to freeze forever. Leaving Robberg, the road leads deeper into Plet's natural surrounds, to one of the most beloved wildlife experiences on the garden route, Birds of Eden. As you step into the giant dome, the outside world disappears. Sunlight filters through the canopy above, casting golden patches on the forest floor. And then, you hear it, the calls of parrots, turquoise, hornbills, and countless others echoing all around you. Birds of Eden is the world's largest free-flight aviary, spanning over 2 hectares of indigenous forest. Here, birds are not confined. They fly above you, glide beside you, and perch on branches so close you can hear the soft rustling of feathers. The colors are astonishing. Emerald greens, deep blues, fiery reds, and bright yellows, all moving together in a blur of motion. Walking through the forest feels like stepping inside a living rainbow. But the magic doesn't end there. Just next door lies another sanctuary, Monkeyland, where rescued primates roam freely through a vast forest environment. As you walk along the wooden pathways, you'll see lemurs leaping from tree to tree with incredible agility. Spider monkeys swing effortlessly across branches, while capuchins gather in curious little groups, watching you with surprisingly expressive eyes. It's a reminder of how deeply connected all living creatures are, and how important these sanctuaries are for giving animals a second chance. In the late afternoon, Plet begins to unwind. The beaches grow quieter, the waves soften, and the sky starts to shift in color. Golden light spills across the coastline, illuminating the cliffs and painting the ocean in warm amber tones. People gather along the shore, some walking barefoot through the soft sand, others sitting quietly, watching the sun descend. And then the moment everyone waits for begins. The sun sinks slowly into the horizon, turning the sky into a canvas of flaming orange, rose pink, deep violet, and shimmering gold. The world seems to pause. Birds glide across the glowing sky. Wave roll in with gentle rhythm. Shadows stretch across the sand. It is pure magic. As night falls, the coastline becomes calm. Lights from beachside homes twinkle like distant stars. The scent of the ocean grows cooler, carried by a soft breeze, and Plet settles into a quiet, peaceful rhythm. This chapter of the journey has been filled with contrasts: wild cliffs and gentle beaches, ancient caves and modern sanctuaries, roaring seas and silent forests. And as the road continues, the next stretch of the garden route promises even more beauty. There's a moment on Robberg's cliffs where time stops. The waves crash below you, seals bark in the distance, and the horizon glows with a kind of light that only South Africa knows. Have you ever arrived in a place and felt instantly that it was alive? Not just with people and movement, but with something deeper? A pulse? A rhythm? A kind of energy that you can't quite describe, but you feel it the second your feet touch the ground. That is Knysna, one of the garden route's most beloved destinations, a town that feels like it was built on the edge of magic. This is where forests breathe, where lagoons shimmer like mirrors, and where nature reveals its most gentle and most powerful sides at the same time. The moment you arrive, Knysna welcomes you with its iconic lagoon, an immense body of still, silver-blue water cradled between rolling forests and rugged sandstone cliffs. The surface looks calm, serene, almost glass-like. But beneath that calm lies an ancient story shaped by tides, storms, and time itself. This lagoon is the heart of Knysna, and every road, every house, every forest path seems to lead toward it, as if drawn by an invisible force. And standing guard over this magnificent lagoon are the legendary Knysna Heads. The heads are two colossal sandstone cliffs that rise dramatically from the water, forming a narrow, turbulent channel between the lagoon and the open Indian Ocean. It's one of the most dangerous sea passages in the world. Beautiful, but unforgiving. On calm days, the water flows in and out peacefully, but on stormy days, waves crash violently against the rocks, sending salt spray high into the air, as if the ocean is trying to reclaim the land one wave at a time. From the viewpoint atop the eastern head, the view is breathtaking. The lagoon stretches endlessly inland, shimmering under the sun, while the town of Knysna nestles softly along its edges. Boats drift lazily across the water. Forests wrap the mountains in deep green blankets. And far below, the waves strike the cliffs with raw strength. It feels like standing at the edge of a world divided between peace and power. But Knysna's true soul lies beyond the cliffs, deep within its ancient forests. These are the Knysna Forests, some of the most enchanting and historic woodlands in South Africa. Walking into them feels like walking into a fairy tale. Sunlight filters through tall yellowwood trees, casting long beams of gold onto the forest floor. The air is cool, earthy, scented with moss and wild ferns, Leaves rustle softly. Birds call from somewhere high above. Every sound feels amplified and sacred. These forests are home to legends, most famously the story of the Knysna elephants. For decades, people believed that this forest once held entire herds, massive, powerful, and free. Over time, the population dwindled until only rumors remained. But researchers discovered something astonishing. At least one lone elephant still roams these forests. Rarely seen, almost mythological, this creature has become a symbol of resilience, a reminder that even the most fragile parts of nature endure. Walking along the wooden trails, you can almost feel the presence of these elephants in the air. The forest floor is soft beneath your feet. Giant roots curl around moss-covered stones. Fallen leaves create a thick, gentle cushion that silences your steps. And every now and then, sunlight breaks through the canopy in dazzling golden bursts. It feels ancient, pure, untouched. But the forest is not silent. Birds flutter through the branches. The Knysna turquoise, bright green and red, glides across the canopy, with flashes of color like moving emeralds. Monkeys leap from branch to branch in playful arcs, and if you listen carefully, you'll hear the distant sound of water trickling through hidden streams. The journey continues toward one of the garden route's most cherished nature escapes Featherbed Nature Reserve. Accessible only by boat, the reserve sits across the lagoon on the western head. The moment you step onto the island-like peninsula, everything slows down. Paths lead through coastal forests, across open viewpoints, and up toward rocky slopes that overlook the vast expanse of the lagoon. The wind is cool, the air is fresh, and the silence feels almost spiritual. From the upper viewpoints, Knysna reveals itself fully. The town stretches out like a watercolor painting. Boats leave soft ripples on the calm water. Forests roll like waves of green, and the heads stand tall, protecting the lagoon like ancient guardians. It's a place that makes you stop, breathe deeply, and let the world disappear for a moment. As the sun begins to set, Knysna transforms into something even more magical. The lagoon shifts from blue to gold, then to rose pink, then to deep violet. Clouds glow softly overhead. Reflections shimmer across the water like liquid fire. It's a sunset that feels alive, slow, warm, and mesmerizing. Locals gather along the waterfront, some casting fishing lines into the gentle tides, others sitting quietly with coffee or wine in hand, watching the colors melt into one another. Lights from houses and restaurants begin to flicker on, twinkling like stars across the darkening lagoon, and then night falls. The waters grow still, the forests settle, and Knysna becomes a peaceful dream wrapped in moonlight. This is the power of Knysna. It's not loud. It's not dramatic in the way mountains or desert are. Instead, it whispers. It invites you to slow down, to breathe, to feel. It connects you with nature not through spectacle, but through presence. And in that stillness, you realize something profound. Some of the most beautiful places in the world are not the ones that overwhelm you, but the ones that change your heartbeat without you even noticing. The garden route continues from here, winding toward new landscapes, new horizons, new wonders, and each mile promises something extraordinary. Because in South Africa, the road itself is a story, and this story is far from over. Some landscapes don't just impress, they overwhelm. Tsitsikamma is where the earth rises in towering forests, where the sea smashes against black rock, and where the air tastes like rain and ancient wood. Have you ever looked at a landscape so dramatic, so wild, so impossibly perfect that it felt like stepping into another world? That is the feeling of arriving in Plettenberg Bay, one of the garden route's most breathtaking coastal destinations. It's a place where cliffs drop sharply into turquoise oceans, where long golden beaches stretch into the horizon, and where the raw power of the sea merges with serene stretches of untouched beauty. This is the moment on the garden route when you realize the journey isn't just beautiful, it's extraordinary. The day begins with the gentle glow of dawn rising over the bay. Light spills over the cliffs, illuminating the waves in shades of gold and silver. You can hear the soft crash of the ocean as the tide pulls back, leaving behind shimmering reflections on the sand. In the distance, dolphins glide across the water, cutting through the morning calm with effortless grace. And right then, before the world fully wakes up, Plettenberg Bay feels like a secret whispered between the ocean and the sky. As the sun climbs higher, the coastline reveals its true splendor. Towering cliffs stand guard over the beaches, their rugged faces carved by wind and waves over millions of years. Below them, the shoreline curves gently, creating one of South Africa's most iconic coastal views. But what makes Plettenberg Bay truly unforgettable is not just the scenery, it's the life that thrives here. This is one of the richest marine environments in the country. Whales migrate through these waters. Dolphins live here year-round. Seals play in the surf, and seabirds glide above the waves, following the rhythms of the ocean. To experience this world up close, travelers head toward Robberg Nature Reserve, a peninsula that juts boldly into the Indian Ocean like a massive stone blade. Walking across Robberg feels like stepping onto the edge of the earth. Waves crash violently against the rocks far below. Wind rushes past your ears. The cliffs rise sharply on one side and drop dramatically on the other. The trail winds through rugged terrain, sandstone, finbows, and ancient dunes turned to stone over millennia. Each step brings a new view, a new sense of awe. But the true highlight lies at the end of the peninsula, the colony of Cape Fur seals. Thousands of them gather here, lounging across the rocks or diving through the swirling waters with remarkable agility. Their calls echo across the cliffs, mixing with the thunder of the waves. Watching them, you feel the pulse of nature in its purest form, wild, untamed, and incredibly alive. As the journey continues, you approach another iconic highlight of Plettenberg Bay, Kerboom's River Nature Reserve. It's a perfect contrast to the dramatic cliffs of Robberg. Here, calm waters flow gently between forested slopes. The river winds like a ribbon of glass through a landscape filled with ancient trees, lush vegetation, and hidden bird life. Boats drift along the water with barely a sound. Sunlight sparkles on the surface. Reflections of the surrounding mountains ripple softly with every breeze. Moving deeper into the reserve feels like entering a forgotten world. The forests are dense, layered, and filled with the scent of fresh leaves and river moss. Birds call out from unseen branches. The river moves patiently, carrying stories from the mountains toward the ocean. And you realize once again that South Africa's beauty isn't just in its landscapes, it's in the quiet harmony between them. But Plettenberg Bay is not only about nature, it's also a place of warm communities, vibrant culture, and unforgettable connections. Walk through the local markets and you'll find handmade crafts, colorful artwork, and the rich aromas of fresh food drifting through the air. The people here carry the same spirit as the landscapes, welcoming, grounded, and deeply connected to the land around them. And as the day begins to fade, there's one last experience you cannot miss: a Plettenberg Bay sunset. It begins softly, with the sky slowly turning shades of orange and rose. The ocean reflects the colors like a giant mirror, shimmering with golden streaks. The cliffs glow in warm amber light. The waves soften into gentle rolls, as if the ocean is preparing for rest. Then, the colors intensify. The sky becomes a canvas of fiery reds, deep purples, and molten gold. Birds fly back toward their nests. Dolphins appear once more, silhouettes dancing in the last rays of the sun. Everything becomes still, warm, peaceful, and in that moment, standing on the shoreline with your feet in the sand, you feel connected to the world in a way that's hard to describe. The beauty is overwhelming. The silence is powerful. The moment feels eternal. Plettenberg Bay is not just another stop along the garden route. It is its heartbeat, wild yet gentle, powerful yet peaceful, dramatic yet soothing. This place captures everything that makes South Africa one of the most breathtaking countries on Earth. But the road trip isn't finished. Ahead lies one of the garden route's most surprising destinations, a place where cliffs tower above winding rivers and ancient forests cover the earth like a green ocean. And the journey only becomes more extraordinary from here, because on the garden route, every chapter is more unforgettable than the last. There's a silence that falls over you when you meet an elephant in the wild, not from fear, but from respect. In Addo, that silence becomes a language. Before we continue, take a moment and imagine this. A road carved between ancient forests and roaring waves. Cliffs dropping into turquoise seas. Sunlight flickering through canopies older than memory itself. This isn't a scene from a movie, this is the garden route. And as we continue our journey, we enter one of its most untamed, enchanting chapters. So stay with me, because what you're about to experience is the kind of beauty that stays with you long after the journey ends. We arrive at Storms River, a place where nature's voice roars louder than words. The air here feels thicker, cooler, as if you've stepped into a world where time hasn't been allowed to move forward. The forests stretch endlessly, rising like emerald walls around you. The sound of birds echoes between the trees, almost surreal, almost ancient. This is Tsitsikamma National Park, the place of much water. And from the very first step onto its wooden pathways, you sense the raw power of the earth beneath your feet. But nothing prepares you for the first sight of the river mouth. The dark water flows out from the forest, cutting through cliffs before crashing into the open ocean. The sound blends into a single, thunderous heartbeat. And then you see it, the Storms River suspension bridge, hanging delicately over the crashing waves. It sways ever so slightly, tempting you, daring you to cross. As you take the first step onto the bridge, the wind brushes against your face, carrying the scent of salt and moss. Below, the waves smash violently against the rocks, sending up bursts of white spray. Every step feels like walking into a postcard so vivid that your senses can't quite keep up. For many travelers, this moment standing on that bridge is one of the highlights of the entire garden route. Once you make it across, the trails pull you deeper into the forest. Sunbeams filter through the leaves, turning the path into a golden river. The ground feels soft beneath your feet, padded with moss and fallen pine needles. Every few steps, you hear something move, a rustle of leaves, a distant call, the soft patter of something small darting away. This is the kind of wilderness that makes you feel human again. Small, connected, aware. But Tsitsikamma has another side, a more thrilling one. Because this region is also home to one of the most iconic adrenaline experiences in South Africa, the Storms River Kayak and Lilo adventure. As your paddle cuts through the dark water, the canyon rises around you, cliffs so tall they steal your breath away. The river narrows, becomes quieter, and soon you're floating beneath towering rock walls carved over millions of years. Every echo of your paddle comes back to you, like a whisper. Eventually, the kayaks can't go further. The river becomes narrower, shallower, forcing you to switch to small inflatable boards. Here, the water turns glassy, untouched, a perfect mirror of the stone corridor above. The sound of the world disappears completely. It is peaceful, haunting, sacred. But for those who prefer thrills on land instead of water, there's something even more extreme along this route. The legendary Bluekrans Bridge, home to the highest commercial bungee jump in Africa. Standing on the edge of the platform, the gorge yawns open beneath you, deep, wide, frighteningly beautiful. The wind rushes past, the heartbeat quickens, the countdown begins, and then you fall. In that free fall, something inside you changes. Fear transforms into flight. Gravity becomes freedom. And for a few unforgettable seconds, you become part of the sky. But the true beauty of Tsitsikamma isn't just in the thrills, it's in its contrasts. One moment you're clinging to a suspension bridge over wild waves. The next, you're sitting quietly on a rock by the river, listening to the whisper of leaves. One moment you're screaming through the sky. The next, you're watching the ocean gently roll beneath the cliffs. As sunset begins to pull its warm light across the forest, everything turns soft and golden. The sea calms. The birds return to their nests. The distant roar of the waves becomes almost soothing. And as the last light settles on the horizon, Tsitsikamma feels like a place that exists outside the world, untouched, unspoiled, eternally wild. This chapter of the journey reminds us why the garden route is so loved, because it offers everything the human heart craves: adventure, tranquility, wonder, and a deep reminder that somewhere along this coastline, carved by time and shaped by water, there is still a piece of earth that remains profoundly alive. Stay with me, because in the next chapter, we continue deeper into this breathtaking journey toward a coastline where dunes rise like golden mountains and the ocean meets the horizon in a dance of endless light. Just when you think South Africa has shown you everything, Route 62 reveals a new world, vast, sunburnt, empty, and impossibly beautiful. Before we begin this chapter, pause for a moment and picture a coastline where the land doesn't simply meet the sea. It rises, rolls, and stretches into colossal waves of golden sand. Imagine a desert touching an ocean. Imagine dunes so high they cast shadows over forests. Imagine landscapes so surreal they look like scenes from another world. This is where the next part of our journey takes us. And trust me, what you're about to see will redefine your idea of beauty. We leave the dense forests and dramatic cliffs of Tsitsikamma behind and continue east along the garden route. The world begins to open up, becoming wider, brighter, more expansive. Soon, the smell of the ocean returns, carried by winds that sweep across a coastline carved by both time and tide. And then, suddenly, the great dune field appears. Standing before the Wilderness National Park dunes, the size of these sandy mountains is almost unbelievable. They tower above the coastline, rising like rolling waves frozen in time. Sunlight dances across their curves, creating shifting patterns, gold here, white there, shadows stretching like long fingers across the landscape. Climbing a dune is harder than it looks. Your feet sink with every step, the sand sliding beneath you, the wind lightly biting your face. But as you reach the top and the world opens beneath you, everything becomes silent and still. Below, the ocean stretches endlessly, blue and shimmering. Behind you, lakes and rivers glisten like silver mirrors, and between them lies the unique, almost dreamlike world of sand. From above, the dunes look alive. The wind constantly reshapes them, ridges sharpen, valleys sink, curves smooth out. It's a landscape being rewritten every day, sculpted by nature's invisible hands. And when you sit down to watch the sun lower itself toward the horizon, the dunes glow in deep golds and fiery oranges, becoming one of the most cinematic scenes anywhere along the garden route. But the wilderness region is more than just dunes. It is a sanctuary, a place where three ecosystems blend into one breathtaking harmony. Just a short distance from the sand lies a peaceful world of rivers, wetlands, and forests. The contrast is surreal. One moment you're standing atop a dune facing the thundering waves. The next, you're drifting quietly along the Two River, surrounded by birds, reeds, and lush green slopes. A canoe is the best way to explore this quieter side of wilderness. As the paddle glides through the glassy water, reflections ripple and stretch with each movement. The river narrows, weaving gently through forests that feel untouched. The sound of civilization fades completely. You begin to hear only the rhythm of your paddle, the call of faraway birds, and the whisper of the breeze moving through the canopy. The deeper you go, the more magical the wilderness becomes. Cat's eyes glint from the branches. Tiny fish dart beneath the surface, The smell of wet earth and fresh water fills the air. And eventually, the river leads you to one of the region's most peaceful treasures, the half-collared Kingfisher Trail. Walking along this path feels like entering a sanctuary for the soul. Ferns frame the trail like delicate lacework. The sound of a waterfall echoes in the distance, becoming louder with each step. And then you reach it, the Kingfisher Waterfall, a thin, elegant veil of water, cascading into a cool, calm pool. It's not dramatic or thunderous. Instead, it feels gentle, calming, pure. You sit for a moment, listening to it, and suddenly, your mind clears. The world becomes simple again. The chaos of life fades. Maybe that's why wilderness holds such a special place in the hearts of travelers. Because here, nature both awakens your spirit and softens it at the same time. But the garden route is always ready to surprise you. And just when you think you've seen its gentlest side, it throws you into another world of thrill and adventure. Along the coastline, the waves crash against rocky outcrops, creating ideal conditions for paragliding, surfing, and hiking. The view from above, when you're soaring with a paraglider, is simply beyond words. You float over fields, rivers, forests, and beaches, watching the wilderness unfold beneath you like a living painting. And for a few unforgettable minutes, you feel weightless, free part of the sky. As the sun sets, wilderness transforms once again. The dunes become shadows. The lakes turn into sheets of silver. The ocean glows with streaks of orange and red. And as darkness gently pulls over the land, the stars, one by one, begin to appear, reflecting off the water like scattered diamonds. Travelers often say that wilderness is one of the most unexpected highlights of the garden route. It's a place where extremes meet, where deserts touch oceans, where forests hide waterfalls, where peaceful rivers flow just meters away from roaring surf. It's a place that reminds us how diverse beauty can be, and how deeply it can touch the human heart. Our journey is not over yet. Ahead lies the final stretch of the garden route, where lagoons meet mountains, where history meets modern charm, and where the road leads us to one of the most beloved towns in all of South Africa. When a journey ends, a part of you stays behind. And on the garden route, that part is the one that learned to breathe deeper, think clearer, and feel more alive than ever before. The journey along South Africa's garden route has been nothing short of extraordinary mountains, forests, oceans, and deserts woven together into a tapestry of unforgettable landscapes. But as we approach the final chapter of this adventure, we arrive in a place that perfectly embodies the magic, the diversity, and the sheer beauty of this legendary stretch of coast. Welcome to Knysna, the jewel of the garden route, where forests meet lagoons, where cliffs guard hidden beaches, and where every sunrise and sunset feels like a promise. Knysna is a town that embraces you from the moment you arrive. Nestled between verdant hills and a shimmering lagoon, it feels both vibrant and peaceful, a perfect blend of natural wonder and human charm. The air is crisp, scented with pine, salt, and the faint sweetness of wildflowers carried on the breeze. Boats drift across the water with lazy grace, their reflections creating mirrored images on the glassy lagoon. And above it all, the famous Knysna Heads rise, colossal sandstone cliffs standing like ancient guardians over the bay. The first stop has to be the Heads themselves. The cliffs provide one of the most breathtaking viewpoints on the garden route, where the Atlantic meets the lagoon in a dramatic display of color, power, and rhythm. Standing here, the roar of the waves crashes in your chest, the wind whips past your face, and for a moment, the world feels infinite. From this vantage point, you can see the forest stretching inland, the town glimmering along the water's edge, and the endless blue ocean beyond. It's a moment that demands silence, reverence, and awe. Descending toward the water, the Knysna Lagoon becomes the perfect playground for discovery. A boat tour offers a front-row seat to the unique ecology of the area, where dolphins often playfully swim alongside the vessel, curving and leaping through the waves. Pelicans glide gracefully over the surface, while smaller birds dart among mangroves lining the estuary. The water here is calm, reflective, almost hypnotic, a world apart from the crashing seas beyond the cliffs. Knysna is also a haven for nature lovers. Just a short drive from town lies the Knysna Forest, an ancient and mystical woodland. These forests are home to the rare Knysna elephants, descendants of a herd that once roamed freely throughout the region. Walking among the towering yellow woods and ferns, it's easy to imagine these giants quietly moving through the undergrowth. Their presence felt more than seen. The forest itself is alive. Sunlight filters through thick canopies. Birds call out in harmony, and hidden streams trickle softly, creating a symphony of sounds that soothes and excites at once. For those seeking adventure, Knysna offers experiences that stir both the heart and the senses. The Featherbed Nature Reserve, accessible only by ferry, showcases the coastline's rugged beauty, with trails that wind through coastal forests, leading to dramatic viewpoints overlooking the lagoon. Every step here brings a new perspective. Cliffs that drop sharply into the sea, coves that glimmer in the sunlight, and forests so lush they seem to stretch forever. And for the truly adventurous, hiking to the top of the reserve's peaks rewards you with panoramic vistas that capture the essence of the garden route in a single, unforgettable view. But it's not just nature that makes Knysna remarkable. The town itself is vibrant, with a waterfront that beckons travelers to explore. Cafes spill onto terraces, offering aromatic coffees and local delicacies. Markets overflow with handmade crafts, jewelry, and artwork, reflecting the town's rich culture and community spirit. Here, every corner invites curiosity, every alley promises discovery, and every face tells a story of a town that thrives between earth, water, and sky. As the day draws to a close, the true magic of Knysna reveals itself the sunset over the lagoon. The water transforms into molten gold, reflecting the sky as it burns in hues of pink, orange, and violet. Shadows stretch across the forests, curling over the hills and the water. Birds return to their nests, their calls fading into the gentle hush of the evening. The cliffs of the heads glow in warm amber, standing tall and eternal against the fading light. It's a moment that feels timeless, a final flourish on a journey filled with wonder. And as night settles over Knysna, the town glimmers softly under the stars, lanterns flickering along the waterfront, boats resting quietly in the lagoon, and waves murmuring gently against the shore. There is a sense of completion here, not just of a trip, but of an experience that touches the soul. The garden route has shown its forests, its cliffs, its oceans, and its deserts, but Knysna embodies the heart of it all: beauty, peace, adventure, and connection. So as our journey comes to a close, we are left with more than memories. We are left with a feeling of awe, a reminder of the extraordinary landscapes our world holds, and a deep appreciation for the delicate balance of nature, culture, and history that South Africa offers. From the cliffs and waves of Plettenberg Bay to the forests and lagoons of Knysna, the garden route is a story told in color, light, sound, and heart, a journey that once experienced becomes a part of you forever. And as we watch the last rays of sunlight disappear behind the horizon, one truth remains clear. Some roads are more than a path from one place to another. Some roads are experiences that transform the way we see the world. And the garden route is one of the most extraordinary roads on Earth. The adventure may end here, but the feeling it leaves behind will last a lifetime. As the sun sets over the garden route, we are reminded of the incredible journey we've just experienced. Every river, dune, cliff, and forest has a story to tell. Every wave crashing against the shore whispers of a land that is both wild and serene. South Africa has revealed its secrets, shown its power, and shared its quiet moments of peace. And while our journey along this legendary coastline comes to an end, the memories, the awe, and the magic stay with us forever. The garden route is more than a destination. It's an experience, a story of nature's grandeur and a reminder that the world is full of places that take your breath away if you open your heart to them. This is South Africa's garden route, raw, untamed, and unforgettable. Thanks for watching my video. I hope you enjoyed exploring Prague as much as I enjoyed guiding you through it. If you found this travel guide helpful, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more beautiful destinations from around the world. Got a favorite spot in Prague? Drop it in the comments. I'd love to hear from you. Until next time, safe travels and see you in the next video.